After being reborn, I'm over with my obsession with my captain husband. Coming back to life, I decided to put my sister's name on the marriage application. This time, I'm letting Felix have his way. In this life, I made sure my sister wore the bridal dress first and got engaged. I personally arranged for every meeting between him and my sister. When he took her to Beijing, I agreed and went off to study elsewhere. Because in my past life, I was over 50, and both he and our son begged me for a divorce. Let him have his final love with my sister. In this new life, I just want to fly away and be done with love. Just hand it to me once you've filled out the name. Felix tapped impatiently on the table. I stared at the marriage application, my fingers gently rubbing the rough edge of the paper as my thoughts wandered. Last time, I filled out my name on this form with the reverence of receiving a royal edict, then dragged Felix to buy wedding sweets in high spirits. I got a scolding instead, just because he wanted to rush back to make brown sugar water for Lily, who was on her period. I casually replied, got it. I glanced up at his anxious look, and the hand that kept checking his watch. Today he wore a white shirt, sleeves rolled up to the elbows, revealing lean arms. I remember Lily saying she loved this look. It made him seem clean and refreshing. You can go if you're busy. I swallowed my bitterness, acting like it was no big deal. I'll hand it in myself once I'm done. He seemed relieved, his tone softened a bit. Don't worry, since we're getting married, I'll take responsibility for you. But don't get jealous of Lily anymore. It's not good for her reputation. I stayed silent. Last time I explained countless times, but to him, I was just a petty and jealous sister, unable to accept my sweet and kind sister. Without saying more, he hurriedly turned and left. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my racing heart, but the memories of my past life kept replaying. On our wedding night, he claimed he was looking after his sick sister and stayed out all night. When he was stationed, he only brought Lily, saying she had never been to Beijing. Even the day our son was born, Felix wasn't there. He was busy comforting the newly divorced Lily. On my deathbed, my son was still there pleading, Mom, please divorce Dad. You're no match for Aunt. Dad's been unhappy with you all these years, let him go. I lay in the hospital bed looking at my indifferent husband, him saying nothing. That silent acceptance was deafening. I bit my lip until I tasted blood before releasing it slowly. No, in this life, I won't make the same mistake. I picked up the pen, and in the applicant section, slowly wrote 2 words. Lily. Felix, since you love her so much, let it be. I handed the completed form to the officer, picked up the marriage certificate, and left the marriage bureau. I wasn't sad. Instead, I felt an indescribable relief. In my last life, after our parents died on duty, Lily and I were adopted. Lily was sweet and savvy, winning over the elders more than their own daughter could. Felix's mother had long wanted Lily to marry Felix. But a single I don't want to fight with my sister from Lily had Felix willingly marrying me. In reality, she only wanted to keep Felix hanging, since at that time Felix was just a captain, and she wanted something better. I visited the school, found out what I needed to prepare for university, including living expenses, and then headed back. Back at Felix's family housing, I walked in on Lily saying sweetly, Felix, you came back to accompany me instead of sister. Will she get mad? I can spend time with her anytime, but I can't have you being unwell every time this happens, and leave you home alone. Lily chuckled happily before pretending to be sad, saying, Will you still be good to me after marrying my sister? Of course, Felix said firmly. If I'm not good to you, who will I be good to? If your sister isn't, I'll divorce her. I clenched my fists tightly, holding back my sadness. Turns out, even after starting over, hearing my husband speak so coldly of me still hurt. I took a moment to steady myself, then walked into the room casually. Felix came out of Lily's room looking a bit embarrassed. I was just checking on Lily since she seemed unwell. I softly hummed in response and turned to head to my room. In the past, I argued countless times about their too close relationship. This time, I refused to waste my time and energy. He called out to me, Linda, how about we get some wedding sweets to give to the spouses around the family compound? I gave him a surprised look, then realized it was probably because I wasn't kicking up a fuss. No need, no point in the formalities. He was taken aback. It must have been hard to imagine me turning down such a suggestion. Sis, are you mad that Felix is taking care of me? Lily came out of the room, looking all innocent and wronged. She was wearing the Lennon-style outfit I bought just for the wedding photo shoot. In the past, I scrimped and saved for months and never dared to wear it once. Seeing my gaze, Lily stammered, I saw the outfit by your bedside today, and thought it was pretty, so I tried it on and forgot to take it off. She hung her head, twisting her fingers like a kid caught doing something wrong. Felix spoke instinctively, Linda, don't. I cut him off, my voice calm. You look nice in it, just keep it. I haven't worn it anyway. I remember the faint scent of blood and sweat on that Lennon outfit. It made me run home crying. Remembering it now still makes me uncomfortable. Ignoring their shocked stares, I retreated to my room and locked the door. I took out my envelope holding my acceptance letter to University X. I've always loved the South, and particularly liked finance. Last time around, I gave up my studies for Felix, choosing to serve his parents at home. Thankfully in this life, I still have time. I just want to live for myself now. I flipped through the calendar. In 10 days, I can leave this place. Not much time, but I have to prepare quickly. There was an abrupt knock at the door, and I opened it reluctantly. Felix was standing there with a bowl of noodles, speaking gently, hungry? I made you some noodles. I felt a moment of disorientation. In my past life, his demeanor was always either frosty or filled with harsh words. It had been a long time since I'd seen such a warm side of Felix. No need, I ate out, I replied. How could that be? Aren't you always too thrifty to spend? His words stung. I used to save every penny, skimping on my own needs to spend on him, buying him things. Now I'm about to go to college, and there are so many expenses coming up. I have to be careful with every cent. I looked at him and said calmly, I remember giving you $50 a few days ago to buy wedding supplies. You didn't buy them, right? Can you return it to me? He froze for a moment, then awkwardly explained, I spent that money on new shoes for Lily. I couldn't help but smirk. Typical. If there's nothing else, I'll go to bed. I'll give you the money tomorrow, he said, sounding a bit annoyed. We're married. Do you have to be so calculating? I scoffed. So spending my hard-earned money on someone else isn't worth fussing over? He knew he was in the wrong, but still muttered defiantly, unreasonable. I didn't want to bicker any longer, and slammed the door shut. Over the next few days, I sold off some worthless possessions, mementos from the past. They seemed nothing more than cheap junk now. I packed it all up, sold it off, and got some cash in return. In the afternoon, while sorting through my stuff, Felix appeared with $50 in hand, speaking gruffly, here's your money. I took it, nodding. Thanks. He looked at me with a complicated gaze, then at my packed bags. I plan to go with Lily when I get stationed. You don't need to pack. I kept packing, just nodding. He seemed uncomfortable with my demeanor, looking a bit uneasy. What's up with you lately? It's like you're a different person. I turned, not wanting more drama. Though Felix doesn't love me, if he learns the marriage application has Lily's name, he might remarry for her sake, and I don't want any ties. Nothing, just packing up. When you head to the capital, I'll move back home. He sighed, explaining, it's not that I won't take you, just that Lily hasn't seen the capital yet. I'll bring you in a few months. I nodded absent-mindedly. In the past life, I waited 8 years for him to come, which only happened after Lily married a general, leaving him dejected. His discomfort was clear. I used to chatter endlessly when we were alone, but now my silence made him uneasy. Didn't you always want wedding photos? Let's go to the studio tomorrow? Can't tomorrow. I need to buy college stuff. I started to protest, but Lily walked in, grabbing Felix's arm affectionately. Felix, what photo studio? Lily wants pictures too. Felix ruffled her hair with a smile. Sure, let's all go tomorrow. You go ahead, I'm busy. Felix frowned. What's more important than wedding photos? His tone was insistent, not to be refused. You're not skipping because of me, are you, sis? Lily teased. Avoiding more arguments, I nodded and agreed. Morning came with Felix sweet-talking Lily to get her up. The calendar's red numbers reminded me, just 4 days to freedom. When they finally emerged, Felix fussed over Lily, tending to her needs. Once, I foolishly thought marriage would bring that tenderness to me. Felix, flustered, approached me with a ring. They say wedding bands are in. I got you one. I didn't take it. There had been no ring in the past life. Lily, seeing it, pouted, so pretty. I want one. I offered, give it to her. Felix's face darkened. Don't joke, it's our wedding band. Lily grabbed the ring, flaunting it at Felix. Felix, does it look nice on me? He adored her with a silly grin, then glanced at me sheepishly. I'll get you another one. I shrugged. His promises never mattered. At the photo studio, Lily took her time, even snapping some shots with Felix. When it was our turn, the photographer hesitated. Oops, out of film. I secretly cheered, but just said, guess we're done then. Outside the studio, Felix handed me a train ticket for 4 days later. I didn't mean to leave you behind. I'll set things up and wait for you there. The journey took 3 days and nights by train. Did he expect me to stand the whole way? Besides, there was only one spot available for a spouse to join. Where was I supposed to live? Not that any answer he gave mattered now. Seeing me accept the ticket, Felix visibly relaxed. You're my only wife. Even if we don't stay in the military housing, I'll treat you well. Lily's just like a sister. Hearing him speak so softly caught me off guard. Suddenly, a car veered around the corner, speeding towards us. Felix scooped Lily up, dodging quickly. Amidst the chaos, someone pushed me. The car aimed at me, and I was too scared to move. It hit me, tossing me aside. I'm in so much pain that my vision is going dark, and cold sweat is pouring down my face. The driver jumps out of the car in a panic, babbling incoherently as he asks, Miss, are you okay? Are you all right? A crowd starts to gather, pointing and whispering. My gaze goes past the onlookers and settles on Felix. He's comforting Lily, completely unaware of what's happening with me. Maybe he sees but simply doesn't care. I give a bitter smile, and the last trace of hesitation in my heart vanishes. So this is what he meant by saying he'd treat me well in the future. The driver takes me to the hospital. After some examinations, turns out I've got some minor injuries and a slight displacement of my internal organs. I'm lying in the hospital bed, hurting all over, but feeling strangely calm inside. Later that night, Felix walks in looking tired. When he sees I'm awake, there's a flash of panic on his face. Linda, how are you feeling? Are you better? I glare at him coldly, saying nothing. He fidgets, nervously explaining. Lily was a bit overwhelmed. I've been with her the whole time, so. Under my stare, he trails off awkwardly. Linda, listen, things happened too fast. Lily was closer to me, and I just reacted. I didn't know you'd get hurt. I cut him off. When are you going to Beijing? He answers cautiously, tomorrow. Got it. I want to rest now, you can go. I close my eyes, effectively kicking him out. Felix wants to say more, but wisely leaves. The next day, Felix's mom visits me. She brings a thermos, smiling widely. Linda, Felix asked me to look after you. Are you feeling better? Much better, thanks, Mom. As she serves me soup, she rambles, Felix is clumsy. I wonder if he can take care of Lily. Halfway through, she seems to realize something and awkwardly stops talking. Mom, actually it's Lily marrying Felix. Felix's mom is stunned, taking a moment to understand. What did you say? I submitted Lily's name for the marriage application. At first, Felix's mom looks shocked, then she beams. Linda, you're such a good child. I knew you were the sensible one. She grips my hand enthusiastically. Linda, thank you. Thanks for making this happen for them. I smile lightly, not saying a word. Making it happen? Really just for myself. She always preferred Lily. Even in a past life, despite my efforts, she left everything to Lily in the end. Mom, don't tell Felix and Lily about this yet. She grins from ear to ear. Okay, Mom understands. So what are your plans now? In a few days I'm leaving too. I keep my true destination secret. Felix's mom wants to ask more, but her mind's full of wedding plans. I close my eyes, pretending to sleep. The day I get discharged, I don't tell anyone. Before leaving, I write Felix a letter. Felix, by the time you see this, I'll be on a train heading south. I know you've always liked Lily, so I'm giving you my blessing. It's over between us. I wish you both happiness. I put the letter, a train ticket to Beijing, and our marriage certificate in an envelope and send it to his address in Beijing. Dragging my suitcase, I head to the train station. The air is warm and humid. I stand in front of university, feeling a bit out of it. Walking around campus, I feel reborn. During the day, I sit in class, soaking up knowledge. At night, I work in a small restaurant, waiting tables and washing dishes until I ache all over. But this exhaustion feels grounding. A month later, I've adjusted to this busy, fulfilling life. Then, I see Felix waiting outside my dorm. Linda, why did you do it? Why put Lily's name on the marriage application? Why didn't you come to me? His voice carries anger and confusion. I stare coldly at him. I don't want a husband who's got his heart set on someone else. It's disgusting and unbearable. He looks at me shocked. I can't believe you're talking like this. You never used to. I turn away. A wave of nausea hits me. I can't stand to look at him, not for another second. Felix, I just want to study hard and start over. Lily is who you've always wanted, right? Value her. And don't bother me again. He runs his fingers through his hair, frustrated. What are you talking about? I've always seen Lily as a sister. I laugh bitterly. What kind of siblings cuddle and sneak kisses? I once caught him kissing a sleeping Lily. The tenderness in his eyes is something I'll never forget. Embarrassment and anger flash across his face. Linda, stop talking nonsense. Lily and I are innocent. Innocent? I scoff. Your idea of sibling love is just revolting to me. Let me go, and let yourself go. He's still at a loss for words. I remember the fear when I first came into the family, so scared I didn't dare eat my fill. Once late at night, I was so hungry I snuck into the yard to eat leaves. Felix saw me and shared his snacks, comforting me by saying, Linda, don't be afraid. I'll protect you. The warmth of that moment made me fall for him. Even though in that past life, he didn't love me at first, I still married him. In the following days, Felix lingers around the campus. I deliberately avoid him, not wanting any more connection. But I didn't expect he'd go to the lengths of asking the principal to expel me. When I'm called to the principal's office, Felix is sitting there looking very serious. I'm furious. Felix, what do you want? Why should I drop out? I want you to come back with me. He stood up, came over to me, and reached out, trying to grab my hand. I quickly took a step back, avoiding his touch. Go back. To just watch you and Lily all lovey-dovey? His face turned stiff. Then he got angry, saying, Linda, stop making stuff up. We're still married. You running off to the south and staying away doesn't make any sense. I almost laughed at his shamelessness. Felix, your wife is Lily. Her name's on the marriage license, and she's the one in your heart. His face went dark, and he gritted his teeth. That was a mistake. Mistakes need to be corrected. I caused misunderstandings before, but I won't do that again. Half of me was chilled. Those familiar lines, he said them in my past life too. And yet he still ended up all cozy with Lily. I turned to the principal, pleading, Principal, I really want to keep studying here. Please don't make me leave. The principal looked at me, then at Felix, pondered a bit, and said, Felix, since you have nothing to do with Linda, you can't handle her withdrawal. I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Felix wanted to say more, but the principal cut him off. Felix, unless there's anything else, please leave. I have work to do. In the days that followed, Felix was still a haunting presence. His pestering was wearing me out, affecting my focus on studies. What was worse, Lily showed up too. Felix, I'm begging you, let's go back and get a divorce. I don't want this. I don't want to steal my sister's husband. I'm a bad person. She was clutching Felix's shirt, crying relentlessly. Felix, concerned, held her, gently patting her back. Don't cry, Lily. It's not your fault. We'll go back right now. It's my fault for making you suffer. Lily cried pitifully, pretending to kneel down for me. Sister, I'm sorry. Don't be mad at Felix. I know there's a misunderstanding about him and me. Don't kneel. It's my fault for putting you through this. We'll go back now. Saying this, she shot me a glare, as if accusing me of being unreasonable. More and more students gathered around us, pointing and whispering. I was done with this drama, turned around and walked away. Let them act it out. I'm not joining in. Turns out Lily had some skills, because Felix didn't show up again that day. I dived into my studies, joined the school math club, and met Nolan. He was tall and slim, wore black framed glasses, and had a sunny smile. He was great at math and often helped me. Eventually, we got pretty close. Just when I thought life was finally getting back on track. Felix's letters kept coming, one after another, relentlessly. Linda, are you still mad at me? I know I was wrong. Please come back. Linda, Lily is pregnant, and the child is mine. I know it's hard for you to accept, but please believe me, my heart is with you. Linda, enough of the grudges, okay? What else do you want me to do to earn your forgiveness? I tore his letter into pieces and threw them in the trash. I had no idea why he think I'd ever take him back. Probably just thick-skinned. The restaurant where I worked part-time was filled with the smell of oil and smoke as I swiftly tidied up tables. I looked up and spotted Nolan sitting in a corner. He gave me a slight smile. I avoided his gaze and kept busy. By the time my shift ended, he was still there, with several untouched dishes in front of him. Care to join me? He gestured to the seat across. No thanks, I've already eaten. I tried to reject him, but my stomach betrayed me with a loud growl. He chuckled, having a thin skin won't do, come on, sit down. Overwhelmed by his offer, I took the seat across from him. The hot soup in the clay pot bubbled and sent warmth through me, chasing away the chill. I dug in, not bothering about appearances. Slow down, no one's taking it from you. Halfway through, I felt a tickle on the tip of my nose. I looked up to find Nolan smiling at me, holding a grain of rice. Got eyes bigger than your belly? He joked. Blushing, I quickly lowered my head. I knew he liked me, his gaze made it plain. But right now I just want to focus on school. The rest can wait until later. With winter break here, Felix's mom called one after another, urging me to come home for the new year. After all, they raised me, and I couldn't be so heartless. After much consideration, I bought a ticket, laden with gifts, and headed back to the city. The moment I walked in the door, harsh shouting greeted my ears. Felix, what do you mean by this? I told you. I'm carrying your baby, and I'm not here to be treated like this. I froze, watching Lily with her big belly, shouting at Felix. Felix's face was gray, but he didn't dare argue back, just tried to calm her down. Lily, calm down. The doctor said stress isn't good for the baby. I want that coat, go buy it for me now. Lily, how about I get it next time? I'm out of money this month. Felix carefully eased Lily into a chair. Blame it on your lack of ambition. You're still just a captain. Did you give the money to your sister? Felix's face shifted. Lily, stop talking nonsense. I haven't been involved with her for ages. Involved? You think I'm stupid? You write her all the time. You think I don't know? You don't care about me. She's the one in your heart. Lily shouted and beat Felix's chest with her fists. Felix looked very impatient. I said I'm not. Standing by the door, watching this scene unfold, I couldn't believe the absurdity. In the past, he wrote me behind Lily's back. Now he's writing to me behind Lily's back. In the end, he just couldn't stick to one woman. Felix's mom was the first to notice me. Linda, you're back. Try to calm Lily down. Her temper keeps growing. She pulled my hand with a hint of conciliation in her tone. I pulled back, softly saying, I'm tired, I want to rest in my room. Felix's mom's face went a bit stiff, but she didn't say anything else, just turned and kept sweet-talking Lily in a low voice. She seemed like a completely different person compared to the bossy mother-in-law I remembered. Back in my room, I dug out the New Year's gift from Nolan from my suitcase, a red cashmere scarf. I wrapped it around my neck and glanced at myself in the mirror, a smile naturally tugging at the corners of my mouth. That evening there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find Felix standing there, looking haggard and uneasy. Linda, we need to talk. I stepped aside to let him in. Rubbing his hands together, he summoned the courage to speak. Linda, the wife I've always wanted is you. I've been waiting for you. Lily's getting more and more temperamental, and she's reckless with money. I couldn't help but scoff. Waiting for me? Felix, do you even believe that? You were waiting for me, while making Lily pregnant? What do you take me for? His face turned red, eyes filled with panic. Linda, let me explain. I cut him off. There's nothing to explain. You and Lily have a kid now. What else is there to say? I wish you both all the best. May you have a long and happy life together. He was silent for a few seconds as if recalling something. Lately, I've been dreaming that the person I'm marrying is you. You're gentle and virtuous, always taking care of my parents back home. He paused, a trace of pain in his voice, but in those dreams, Lily's the only one I see. I neglect and hurt you. I'm such a jerk, even forced you to divorce with our son. I was surprised. He'd dreamt of our past life. Covering his face in anguish, he said, I'm sorry to that version of you. I want to make it up. Suppressing the anger in my chest, I spoke with a cold tone. If you really want to make it up, then live well with Lily. Don't bother me anymore. It'll be good for both of us. His eyes dimmed, with a hint of reluctance in his voice. But I keep feeling that my wife should have been you. My patience finally wore thin, and I gave a direct ultimatum. Felix, you need to leave. This isn't what you should be saying, or where you should be. He got up dejectedly, leaving my room with heavy steps. Watching his retreating figure, I felt nothing inside. Past or present, he's always wavering between two women, greedily wanting it all. I've begun to realize, since Felix and Lily are living here now, there's no reason for me to stay. This isn't my home anyway. The next morning, I packed my bags and knocked on Felix's mom's door. I slipped a bank card into her hand and calmly said, Auntie, thank you for taking care of me all these years. The money on this card is my savings. Consider it my repayment for your kindness. Felix's mom was stunned and tried to refuse. Linda, I can't accept this. I insisted, picking up my luggage and saying, please take it. I need to return to campus for some work. Without looking back, I left feeling no attachment. At the ticket window, I stood in a long line, only to find there were no tickets available to get back. The next available one was 2 days away. Frustrated, I scratched my head. Where should I go now? I couldn't end up sleeping on the street. Just then, Nolan appeared in front of me, arms full of packages. Linda. His face lit up with surprise, and he came over quickly. I was a bit taken aback too, smiling as I greeted him. Nolan. What a coincidence. Are you from Mountain City too? Yeah, and you? You've got nowhere to go. Nolan's voice was full of concern. How about you come to my home for the new year? I hesitated for a moment, waving my hands. Oh, I wouldn't want to impose. He brushed off my concern. Oh, come on. My grandma and I would love to have some company. And I wouldn't feel right leaving you alone during New Year's. He paused and added, please Linda, consider it keeping my dear grandma company. She's so bored all by herself. His puppy-like pleading made me laugh, and I finally agreed. Stepping out of the station, a blast of cold wind hit me, making me pull my coat tighter. Seeing this, Nolan immediately took off his coat and draped it over me. The faint scent of wood surrounded me. Cold, huh? It's a lot chillier here than at school. I shook my head, but warmth spread in my heart. Nolan's place was in the old part of the city, a quaint 2-story house. As we entered, the aroma of dumplings filled the air. An elderly woman with silver hair stood in the kitchen doorway, smiling at us. Nolan, you're back. And who's this young lady? Her gaze landed on me, and she cheerfully exclaimed, oh dear, you've brought such a beauty home for New Year's. I blushed slightly embarrassed. Grandma, this is Linda, my friend, Nolan introduced with a grin. Oh wonderful, come in and warm up, she said, bustling back to the cooking. Nolan carried my suitcase to a guest room. It wasn't large but was neat and smelled of sunshine. You rest up. The dumplings will be ready soon, Nolan said kindly. I nodded and sat by the window, watching the snowflakes fall, feeling an unprecedented peace and tranquility. Perhaps this is what a home feels like. In the evening, we gathered around the table, eating steaming dumplings. Grandma kept piling food onto my plate, indifferently saying, Linda, come visit often. You're always welcome here. I merely nodded, a warmth radiating through my chest. After dinner, Nolan suggested we go for a walk in the nearby park. The park was almost empty in the winter, just a few couples snuggled together, enjoying the rare tranquility. We walked slowly along the lakeside, both of us silent. Snowflakes gently floated down, landing on us like a thin veil. Thank you, Nolan. I broke the silence, speaking softly. Thank me for what? Thank you for taking me in, for giving me a warm, safe haven. Nolan looked at me, joking with a smile. How about repaying me with your life? I was momentarily stunned, then pretended to be haughty in your dreams. Even though I said that, a little ripple started in my heart. So how do you plan on repaying me? I'm the hero who saved you from the chaos at the station. His exaggerated tone made me laugh, and I replied with a straight face, hero? More like someone trying to blackmail me. He pretended to think deeply for a moment, then said seriously, let me think. How about you cook me a meal every day until school starts? I couldn't help rolling my eyes. In your dreams. My cooking is pretty average. He smiled at me kindly. Doesn't matter, I'm not picky. Besides, even if it's terrible, I'd still eat it all. His shamelessness made me laugh. Is this how you expect me to repay you? Clearly, you're trying to take advantage of me. Looks like my charm isn't enough yet. He sighed with fake disappointment, then suddenly moved closer to me. Well, should I try harder? Feeling a bit warm in the cheeks, I quickly stepped back. Don't try anything funny. Seeing my flustered expression, he couldn't help but laugh. Just kidding. He reached out and gently ruffled my hair. Let's go back now. Grandma might be worried. Back home, Grandma had a steaming cup of ginger tea ready for us, saying it's for warming up and warding off the cold. Holding the tea, I soaked up the cozy atmosphere, feeling a small sense of hope for the future for the first time. Maybe letting go of the past and starting anew isn't such a bad thing. On New Year's Eve, fireworks burst outside, lighting up the night sky. Deafening firecrackers echoed around, and I stood by the window, feeling like I was in a different world. Happy New Year, Linda. He was close, his warm breath tickling my ear. I turned to meet his deep gaze. In that moment, time seemed to stop, and my heart skipped a beat. Happy New Year, Nolan. He leaned closer to my ear, whispering, I like you, Linda. Outside, fireworks continued to bloom, colorful lights washing over both our faces. The end.